Second thought video talking about how liberals want fascism. So you've been watching my streams? Rich people want fascism.
Hey, do we all remember when Democrats called Trump a
fascist?
Fascist.
He's a fascist.
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 Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
But then
Trump has been elected.
The cheers coming up.
And then
I'm going to work to find common ground with the Republicans on how we can do that.
We fought like heck on where our values were assaulted or challenged, and we'll continue to do so. But that does not mean we will not aggressively look for common ground.
after yet another most important election of your life, Democrats have neatly tucked away the F word and are, once again, excitedly collaborating with the Trump admin. If this was
I'm probably going to agree with him on basically everything that he says in this video, so I don't know how interesting it would be outside of, like, the value of watching the video on its own. To be honest, with the way the Democrats are right now, it is difficult to undersell them, you know? It's difficult to... the Democrats have made it very, very easy to attack them over collaborationist behavior. It's not exactly like a strong point of theirs, so... Dems never called Trump fascism out. Yeah, they did. Yeah, there were Democrat politicians and pundits who both started using that language in the lead up to the election. Also, they just played clips.
Was your first election, I'll tell you right now, this isn't new. It's not the first time we've seen Democrats call out Trump's fascist tendencies for election brownie points before quietly backing his anti-immigrant, pro-business policies once the show's over. And there are 1,000 different explanations.
Second thoughts at Tanky, right? He's had some bad... Well, yeah, there are some failures of analysis in some of his videos, but I think for the most part, like, a lot of what he says is pretty agreeable, I think. I mean, I wouldn't like, American healthcare is a nightmare, Elon's plan for Europe, neoliberalism needs to go. Yeah, like, sure, it's more like higher level stuff that I take issue with, I suppose. But now that we are in the Chinese century, maybe I would agree more. Maybe he would be like, well, actually, you know, communist China is a vanguard for the global proletariat. And I would say, sure, yeah, fuck it, why not? Maybe. Democrats basically have zero leadership right now. Yeah, no, the Democratic Party essentially doesn't exist, at least not at a national level right now. It's not really a real org. Look how he talks about Russia and Ukraine when he's speaking for CPUSA. Yeah, that would be an example of a sort of analytical failure. Oh, look at all the dislikes this has. Quite a sight to behold, someone ascending into living memedom. Must be a funny video. We're not going to look at it, though. Not really relevant to my point. CPUSA? What do you mean by that? No, I kid. Yeah, I think we watched that, didn't we? Anyway, I just don't have it in my heart to left-in fight. What's the point, right? Well, it was linked to me for a reason. Let me just skip in a second.
For this trend, we could try to understand it by looking at interesting consequences. Not only did they fundamentally undermine the widespread idea that free market capitalism was this all-capable, perfectly functioning system that's in tune with the...
You had a fun clip making fun of his brain being contained inside yours. The issue, to me, I guess, is just that it's easy to repeat points that are objectively correct when you're repeating dogma. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that our healthcare system is fucked, liberalism is dying, failed, etc., right? You don't have to be like a brain genius to figure that out. But to then, like, when you believe those things, but then you engage in rhetoric that, like, essentially plays the defense of Russia in their invasion of Ukraine, it makes me think that it's all just dogma to you. You might have incidentally landed on correct points with regard to, like, healthcare or the economy or whatever, but you don't actually believe those things because you've arrived at those conclusions via like a consistent ethos or set of logic or whatever. You arrived at them because that's kind of like common talking points in the left, you know? It makes me think you're very susceptible. I think this is one of the reasons why I've always said, like, it's very important not just to agree with a person, to agree with, but like why they believe a thing that they do. Because you can arrive at like wildly different worlds by following the same conclusion in different directions, right?
Very essence of human nature, because if it was, why bother with all this stuff? But also, by getting the state explicitly involved and making it super obvious just how much of the economy is just random autocrats calling the shots, governments completely destroyed any idea that capitalism and its hierarchies had anything natural or democratic about them. Instead of the market, you now had a very clear idea of specifically which people were deciding what happened to you. And rather than being forced to do stuff with the threat of unemployment and whatever percent the government they're encouraged to save and reinvest their money. Meanwhile, you're chastised for not saving money you don't have because less is coming into your pockets. To achieve this...
Yeah, I'd probably agree with most of this video. In summary, the video talks about the invention of fascism by capitalists during a 1920 conference in Brussels. I don't think you can really invent fascism necessarily, but you're probably like summarizing in a way that I would agree with if I watched the video, you know. Yeah. I thought Mussolini invented fascism. I don't really think you can invent fascism because fascism is more a behavioral descriptor than it is like a cohesive plan for a movement or an ideology, right? I don't like fascism. They don't have like they don't have like an ethos or like a plan or a set of values. Really, it's more like a descriptor of human political organization given a set of circumstances. You can self-describe as fascist, but now that the word's taken on kind of a negative tone, almost all fascists don't call themselves fascists, right? Overwhelmingly, fascists refer to themselves as something else. Nationalists, you know, patriot, whatever. They come up with some self-aggrandizing term. But it's not like a political movement the same way that, say, communism is, where you can actually settle on a definition and people will self-describe as it, and there will be like scholars writing on it and people trying to theorize and work out in it, you know. Were the Romans fascists? Absolutely not. Was the Holy Roman Empire fascist? Is mayonnaise an instrument? Many people are wondering.